Hello everyone, my name is Creepy and welcome to the Draft League Q&A episode number 11. I'm here today with the founder of, the commissioner of the CPC 681 Shadow. Introduce yourself.
Hey, it's 681SHADOW, and I'm really glad that I'm here on this interview today.
Okay, so first question, how and when did you start to play the Draft League format?
I started playing the Draft League format about 2 years ago, ish, around there, and because basically that was around the time when UCL was starting up, and I was like, oh, that kind of looks pretty cool, like drafting a team and stuff like that. So, some friends of mine, some real life friends of mine, we decided to make a league, like an 8-man league, and then eventually it just like evolved from there, and that's actually the CPC. CPC was my first draft league that I've ever been in, and it turned from an IRL friend 8-man league into now a upload required majors and a D league with 16 in each of those.
Okay, so what are your accomplishments in a Draft League format?
Um, to be honest, I don't really have any accomplishments because even though I've played for 2 years, I did have I did get fourth place in CPC season one, and then I also appeared in the quarterfinals for two other leagues, the WCP, which is like a minor league that doesn't exist anymore, and the first season of the PMCD league. I was in the quarterfinals for that. So those are really my accomplishments. But other than that, I've been in. Other than that, I get invited to a bunch of like higher level leagues. So I feel like it's good that I'm in a bunch of these higher level leagues, but at the same time, it's very difficult to try to maintain a good record in those leagues.
Yeah, in my opinion, like, you can, it's better to be in harder leagues than get championships in easier leagues, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
definitely. Yeah, because if you're in an easier league, it doesn't feel as good because it's like, okay, everyone here isn't that good, but you have more of a challenge in harder leagues to try to get that championship.
Okay, so how do you what was what was your best season in any league or tournament you've been in?
Okay, so I'm gonna have two answers for this, just because the one I would say was a league that kind of like got pushed to playoffs halfway through because it was dying. Was the WCP, which I talked about earlier, and I went 6-0 in that league. I forgot my differential. It was like around 20, something like that, maybe a bit more than 20 for differential. But I went 6-0 in that, but then it died. It was supposed to be a 12-week season, but it went straight to playoffs, and I lost round one of playoffs. But in terms of leagues that completed their regular season, my best season has to be CPC season one, where I went 6-1. While the competition wasn't great that season, it was still a really good season, and there were three really strong contenders in that season. And it's kind of funny because we all went 6-1 because we all lost to one of the other top three in the league.
Okay, so what was your best draft?
My best draft. I'm really not that great of a drafter, but if I had to think off the top of my head, um, I feel like I've had like decent drafts, but of course, since I don't see myself as that great of a drafter, so I haven't had that great drafts. But I'm really liking my draft for the I really like how I drafted for UPC season three. Um, I'm actually gonna try to pull up my team right now. Um, Yeah, I'm gonna try to pull up my team really quickly here, but I feel like I had a really good draft in that. I didn't do well because it's a bit of a higher level league, but I feel like my draft there was very good. Here, found the sheet. Let me just pull up the sheet, and I can let you know what my draft was.
Okay, take your time.
Uh, Here we go, draft. So my team for that league was I had it was a tiered system, so I had Lando I, Mew, Mega Altaria, Cobalion, Seismitoad, Rotom Heat, Scolipede, Togekiss, Gourgeist, Sneasel, and Miltank.
Whoa.
It was a really powerful team. It was a really powerful team to work with.
Okay, so when you start a new league, how do you plan your draft? What are the most important parts in a good draft? What do you think is not? What do you think makes a bad draft?
I feel like a good amount of the time, and this is really bad. I don't plan my draft that much. I usually go with like a core, and then I kind of like try to fill stuff in from there. But if I'm actually like sitting down and planning a draft, I'll usually do this for CPC because that is my main league. But when I'm sitting down planning a draft, I'll look at I'll find a core that I want to use, and then I'll look to for my other mons to fill in other roles like Firewater Grass core, Fairy Dragon Steel core, hazard removal, stuff like that, so that I can have a well-rounded team and not really have any overly overly detrimental weaknesses on my roster. So that's that's what I look for in a good draft, and that kind of leads to what makes a bad draft, because if you don't fill those roles, like if you don't have a lot of hazard removal or your team is slow, you're gonna have those really obvious weaknesses that are just not gonna be good for you in the season.
Okay, so what is the most underrated Pokemon in the Draft League format in your opinion?
The most underrated Pokemon in the Draft League format. Now, can this be any Pokemon, or does it have to be like some like upper tier mon?
No, any Pokemon you like. Like people, people said, people said like Quagsire, and people said like Nidoking. You can be.
Oh, so I can't talk about Quagsire. Quagsire is really good, but
Hey, you
I'm
can talk
gonna
about it.
no, I'm actually gonna talk about regular Charizard here, because for those of you who've been keeping up with the regular CPC season for this current season, if you haven't, then you definitely should be, because one of the coaches, Turk, coach of the Toronto Lux Rays, he drafted regular Charizard, and that thing, I believe it went 9-1, and it came to 4 games, which is stupid because it had a lot of good matchups. Not only it went 9-1 in 4 games. It didn't. Not only did it have a lot of good matchups, but also that thing can be a beast. It could be defensive. He ran it offensive in I think a couple of games, and it's just a really powerful low tier pick that you never see get drafted, but it put in a lot of work in such a very competitive league.
Yeah, I heard this meme, like someone memes about it, like Lizard stole. I think it was so fun at CPC. Okay, so what is the most overrated Pokemon in Draft League format in your opinion?
Um, Overrated. I feel like Mew is overrated in the draft league format, and I'm gonna say that because like yes, while it's versatile, it can basically it can run a bunch of sets. It's really hard to prep for. At the same time, because I did use Mew in this past season of CPC until I had a trade where I traded Mew to pick up Victini. Mew just seems, in my opinion, to be a bit of a not passive, but kind of passive in the ways that like it doesn't do enough damage. I feel like, and I feel like it doesn't do a lot of damage. You're usually locked into running usually run like a defensive Mew most of the time. So Mew doesn't really have like as much offensive presence as some of the other mons that are rated so highly, such as like Lando T, Kyurem Black, etc.
Yeah, so what is your favorite Pokemon to use in a Draft League format?
Um, I feel like there's a lot of mons I like to use, but the one that I really love to use over the recent few weeks is Primarina, and as you're gonna see, since Squippy does have the replays
Yeah,
on
the
this
sweep
on the screen.
on the plus 2 speed.
Hmm?
The sweep with Primarina on the plus
Yeah,
2 speed.
you have the Primarina sweep.
Yeah.
Not only that, but also Primarina is just a fun mon to use, and I have it again in UPC Season 5, and it it's just it can do a lot. It hits hard, especially like I think I brought it in week 1 of CPC Season 4 against A12, and I ran like defensive, but that thing just still put out a bunch of damage. I had like no special attack investment, but it still put out like so much damage. So I feel like Primarina is one of my new favorites, but there's also others that I love to use, like Manaphy and Victini, things like that.
Okay. So what is the most competitive league you've been in?
Without a doubt, it's been CPC. Not to bring down any other leagues, and I can't really say anything about EBT yet because we are still in the draft for EBT. But CPC has to be my most competitive league. I was in the running to be in the last NPL minors season when they had the tryout tournament, but I did not make the cut. So
Oh,
if I had
oh,
gotten into NPL, that may have been a contender for this question. But um, CPC is definitely the most competitive league that I've been in. We have a lot of top tier players. We have Poke TCG Gamer. This season we had the Verd. We have Aberforth. Um, we have Turk, as I said before. We have Falla. Um, we just have a bunch of really great people and really competitive people in this league, and it's something that and it proposes a sort of environment that you don't see from many leagues, where that no one is really a free win because everyone is very solid in the league, and like for example, a lot of people would think like when I beat Bird in week 3, a lot of people were like, oh yeah, Bird's gonna win because I hadn't been doing too well, and and people kind of view me as a bit lower than everyone else in terms of skill, but I was able to beat Bird through my prep and through my play. So definitely, I really love how CPC is so competitive that no one is a free win at any point.
okay. So, who is the best player you ever beat? You have ever beaten? Best.
Best one I
Sorry. Who is the best player you have ever fought?
Okay, best player I've ever played a match against that would have to be Gypsy King because we did play in CPC season 3, and that man honestly just like destroyed me. Um, I think I did pretty well in that match. I feel like I could have played a bit better in that match, but of course it's Gypsy. His plays are like absolutely next level, and if you've seen his NPL runs, you'll know why he's such a legend in the draft league community. But it was definitely fun to have him in that season, and also it was very great to play him because I view a lot of games like when I face someone who's like really well known and really good, I tend to want to learn from them. So when I'm playing, I sort of learn from what they do, and that was definitely something I could have learned a lot from because Gypsy is a veteran in draft leagues and also in ladder play as well.
Okay, so who is the best player you ever been? You
Uh,
ever been in?
the best player I've ever beaten is gonna have to be Bird. I don't really have too many great victories under me, like in my league resume per se. But when I beat Verd in this past season of CPC, that was probably the best player that I've beaten. But also I got some. I also did get a win this season against Turk in our rematch. However, I'm not. I don't hold that one up so highly because I was out of playoffs at the point, and he was basically in. So he brought a regular team. He brought a regular team, but I decided to bring memes, and I beat him with memes, which is actually pretty funny. But definitely Verd has to be the best player that I've beaten thus far in my draft league career, and hopefully there's going to be some more people that are really good that I'm able to beat.
Okay, so who is the best player in the draft league format in your opinion?
The best player in the draft league format. Um, there's definitely a lot of good ones, but I feel like the three that I see that are the best are probably Gypsy King, Iron Flash Gaming, who is retired technically, but he still shows his face in things like Clan Wars, League Wars, etc. And also Aki VGC. All three of those, I've seen them play. They play phenomenally, but there are also people who are also able to play at the level because I just feel like Besk is there's never really a best person, but there's people who are stupidly consistent and really good at that. Like also an example of someone being really consistent and good is Aberforth. I always see him in leagues getting a good record. I've always seen him get a positive record. Never seen him with a neutral or negative record, and he always does decently well in playoffs. At least he's done well in CPC playoffs. He did well in it last season. So I feel like there's no real best, but at the same time, there are those people who are really consistently good in the format.
Okay, so last question. Do you have any tips for a new draft league player?
Any tips for a draft league player? Definitely, if you're trying to get into the draft league, watch some videos from people who are very knowledgeable on the on draft leagues, like people in the National Pokeball League. Shameless plug here, people in the CPC, and just some other well-known competitive draft leagues, because people who do team builders and they show like their thought process of what they did when they're building, and the people who really talk about their thought processes during like when they're commentating over their games to see what they did each turn. I feel like those are the best videos to watch, so you can see the kind of mindset you have to put yourself in to really do well in the draft league. So that's honestly like my biggest tip, but also just really just try to learn from all the people around you. Like if you're in a league with people who have more experience than you, try to learn from them, ask them about stuff, things like that.
Okay, so thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, you're welcome, man. You're welcome.
Okay, be sure to check out Shadow in the description down below. If you like the video, make sure you like. If you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching. This has been Squeepy, and I'm out. Goodbye.